All right, so we just hit record here. We're gonna do a quick test segment for Marvel Madness. This is basically a 0 episode where we'll cover 3 books. We got one from the Spider family, one from the X family, and one from just the general hero family. Scarlet Spider, Weapon X, and what was the third and final? Occupy Avengers. Yeah. So that's what you guys are going to hear about tonight. If this ever makes it to the ears of the public. If not, this is just 3 people doing a test to make sure our sound quality is good. Make sure I am using the right mic for the first time since I bought it, unlike
you sound amazing.
Last 3 fucking disasters of a recording. And
my mic's in the mail.
Yeah. Well, see, I've had this mic for almost a month now, and the last 3 times me and Trevitt recorded, I don't think I figured out till last week when we were recording with Ryan and Chris that this thing actually fucking was on the wrong setting to be working. So,
Alan, is it his name's Al? Is it Alan? Right? Was it Alan? Or is it Chris?
Ryan and yeah, I'm thinking of Reggie's dude.
Have I been calling him the wrong name?
No, you're right. That's me. I'm just fucking mixing up all the names of podcasts and shit I listen to. But where do you want to start? You want to get Occupy Avengers out of the way first?
Well, let's just get it out of the way.
All right, let me pull that up here. Trevitt, you're gonna probably have to spear this one because you know the most about it. This is literally the first issue I've ever read of Occupy Avengers.
Let me see if I have. I wish I could pull up the old issues.
So while you're pulling that up, this is Occupy Avengers. It's writer David F. Walker, who does have some good books to his credit. I liked Iron Man and Power Fist series that he was doing. Artist on this issue is Gabriel Hernandez Walta. Also did the Vision series with Tom King. His colorist is always Jordi Belair, that I know of. And then I don't really pay too much attention to letter or any of that, but it seems to always be VC's Clayton Cowles.
What is up with that? What is VC? I
think that's a company, isn't it?
I have no. I don't know if it was a company or like a crew of letterers or something.
I'm pretty sure VC's the company.
Yeah, okay. I want to know what this dude makes because he letters like fucking 400 comic books a week.
Well, because there's other people that'll say VCs and then it'll have their name, and then there's also Blambot, but it'll just say when it's Blambot, it'll just say Blambot instead of like Blambot someone's name. So I'm always like, I have.
Maybe that's just that dude. He's the only person that works for that company. That's just his way to incorporate it and keep the government off his tax money.
Probably, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. All right.
I should start off by saying that I haven't read this Occupy Avengers yet, but I've read the previous 4 issues, 5 issues.
I've read 3 pages, and I can tell you the only thing I like about well, the first thing I don't like about the book is that Hawkeye looks like a female on the cover, does he not?
He does. He looks like a butch lesbian.
I thought it was Captain fucking Marvel on the cover.
It does look like Captain Marvel.
Are we sure it's not Captain Marvel variant or anything like
dressed as Hawkeye?
It's yeah.
The sad part is
I got like halfway through this book. And the thing that bothered me the most was the purple block letters. The bubbles.
Where?
Oh, you mean when the narration of Hawkeye? I like it.
I guess I didn't even know. As long as the letters are actually white, that doesn't piss me off. If the letters were black, I wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah, the same here.
I didn't even notice it until you said that, to be honest with you.
Oh, here's one panel where Hawkeye looks good.
No, yeah, he looks much better inside.
He looks excellent in the books.
Well,
just the cover looks like a woman.
Last issue, his head kind of looked like a potato. So, like, I think Walta's like just like trying to grasp how to draw these characters.
Yeah, well, Walta, he did like a couple splash pages because Vision basically fought everybody in towards the end of that series of the Avengers, like anyone that was an Avenger at that point in time. And some of his characters do look a little like he drew the Vision and it worked for that series. That the Vision family all looked great, but some of his other like mainstay Marvel characters don't really blend well with his art style. I don't feel like.
I could see that.
He's definitely like more of a horror artist. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a horror theme to me personally.
That makes sense. I mean, when I'm looking at, I think it's page 4, where the guy's got the scroll gun to the old black lady's head.
I thought he was just crazy and had a seashell in his hand. Does it look like a conch, like Piggy and fucking Lord of the Flies?
I'm sitting here reading that this is the manure capital of the state, and so I'm thinking they're holding shit guns.
Manure capital of tungsten. At least there's something somewhere in Iowa known for something.
That's not the potato state, right? That's
Idaho.
That's
Idaho. Yeah. Idaho potato.
But yeah, like they're following around this kid Hawkeye called into action in this wheelchair. Like, what's he do? Fix shit? He's the tech dude.
He's fixing their van, but the van is some like AI operating system, like self-defense.
Tech. Yeah, Shield Tech. Yeah,
and they do like a neural link with it.
They picked him up last issue. I think he's like the Oracle of the crew.
That makes sense. And then so Hawkeye just gets into this giant brawl with these Kree soldiers, or not Kree, Skrull. And I don't know, just a giant fight that breaks out, and it looks like these Skrulls start hating on this one Skrull because he won't kill. Basically, he wants to be just normal.
He's enjoyed his plant role in Earth.
Yeah, I guess he just wants to, surf Twitter and read comic books like the rest of us. But the rest of the Skrulls aren't really having it. I could be totally off because again, I kind of just really kind of skimmed through this bad boy because I was just, I don't know, it didn't grab my attention. You know what I'm saying?
It's a very quick read, but yeah, it's.
I got something here. I'm looking at page 8. Well, looking at page 8.
Let me go back here.
A conversation caught my eye with a little Skrull girl, and I don't know if it's his midget wife or maybe it's the Skrull guy's daughter, but
that's the daughter that turned into a Skrull after that lady was gonna get killed. She shot the guy in the back of the head, and she turned into a Skrull.
I think they might be refugees because she hands the gun back to her and is like, we're not the enemy. They came for us. They're going to kill us all. Because it's like a town of Skrulls. I remember this from
Skrulls.
Yeah, I remember this from the last issue. They went to like the diner, then all of a sudden like people start popping up as Skrulls and they're like, what the fuck?
like these guys just never left and took up citizenship in Iowa after Secret Invasion or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what happened after Secret Invasion. A bunch of them decided that they liked Earth and they were going to stay here, so they just turned into regular people and populated this town and just lived normal lives. And now the Skrull Empire is here to be like, "You're coming home, or we're going to murder you all." And luckily, Hawkeye. I mean, that's what this book basically is like. Hawkeye travels.
A little more mildly interesting than what I assumed it was. Hawkeye fighting a Skrull invasion.
Now I can't wait to actually read this.
Yeah, it does. It's at parts of it, like you said, it was a quick read, but it does look very wordy. So that I was trying to just hop on here with you guys, and I had to catch up on both Weapon X books, so that kind of took up all my time. But it looks like basically the cliffhanger is the citizen Skrulls don't want to leave still, is what I can guess. And the super Skrull has got one by the throat and he's like, well, then you're all going to die is what looks like is going to happen.
Yeah, and then it just all hell breaks loose, it looks like, later on into the issue. And it looks like he's getting a handle on the art better. I wasn't too crazy over the art in the last issue, but this one looks a lot better than the last one did. I like the premise of this series because it's like It's kind of like the Hulk television show from back in the day, where they travel from town to town, like trying to keep under the radar, and they keep running into these like bad situations, and they just want to help people that are less fortunate. Kind of like the Champions, like, you know how like the kids got disillusioned with the older people, and they didn't want to just leave just death and destruction everywhere. It's kind of like that. Like Hawkeye just wants to be like a low key superhero, like he's like the Green Arrow of Marvel, like the social justice warrior.
It seems like no matter where he goes, trouble always finds him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does
Like
he still have his
fix, and the scroll go after
ahead,
him?
man.
I said he's there to get his van fixed, and the scrolls go after him.
Yeah. Well, I think they probably, being Skrulls, saw a hero in town, and they're like, "Oh fuck, he's on to us." You know what I'm saying? I think that's probably how this all popped off.
I think that is how it popped off. What were you gonna say? Does he still have his what?
Pizza Dog. Is Pizza Dog still around?
I haven't seen Pizza Dog.
I've never read any of that series for Action Series. I think that's where he came from. But once I heard the dog's name was actually Pizza Dog, that's just my favorite pet character name in all comics. That's all. So I was wondering if he was still around or is still alive, or if they offed him like they did that dog in Deathstroke.
I haven't seen or heard anything about it in this book, and the only other time I've seen Hawkeye before this was when he killed the Hulk in Civil War. I was flipping through New Avengers, the one with like Hulkling and all that. The AIM. It's the book that pretty much led right into U.S. Avengers. The guy who is leading the U.S. Avengers was kind of part of that group. I forget his name right now. The Brazilian dude, and that's when I was flipping through, I noticed Hawkeye was a part of the group at the beginning. I don't know if he was
Costa?
through the whole... Yeah, Costa.
Dude.
Yeah, he was in that New Avengers book too. The new AIM or whatever. I think that's like the transition from when they took over AIM. And that's the last time I saw. I think Hawkeye was in that book because I was flipping through this volume 2 and he was all over it. He was the only like hero that he's the only like kind of first tier hero, even though he's like a B-list first tier hero. Mm-hmm. But everybody else is like Young Avengers.
So, I guess that basically wraps up our thoughts on that book. Really, our bad on everybody's behalf. Not really getting too in depth on that one. I don't think anybody enjoyed it too much. But how we do things around these parts. We tell you guys to buy it, to borrow it, or forget it altogether. So, well, Trevor, this is your typical series was something you enjoy. So what would your opinion be of, just from someone that buys the book point of view? What would your opinion be of it? Would you buy it, borrow it, forget it?
I would buy it. I haven't read this one yet. The art looks a lot better than it has in the last one. If it has a lot of exposition, like a shit ton of exposition. It's very, very wordy.
Yeah, I think the series has to wrap up real quick, or not the series, but the storyline has to wrap up quickly for tie-in status in the event. I think that's what's going on.
And that sucks because I think that's going to hurt this book, because the premise of this book is more interesting to me than it being a part of Secret Empire. Like things like Mighty Thor that don't get touched by it. I like that it doesn't get touched by it, because it would almost kind of ruin that book. And I have a feeling that's what's going to happen to this book. Like they have a feeling it's going to boost sales because maybe more people will buy it because it's a part of Secret Empire, but it's going to put off a lot of the people who are really like set on the story that we have right now. And I've enjoyed it a lot so far. Definite buy for me. I'm getting used to Walter's art. Hawkeye already looks better. His head's not a potato this time around. So yeah, potato, it's stubble.
He is definitely, and when the first couple of issues of Vision that I read, that because Walter did every issue of that, I was like, when I put it down, I gave the book high ratings because I enjoyed it, but I'm like, I don't know about this art. But then it's definitely an acquired taste as you get into the tone of the story and things like that, especially, and not speaking for this series because I've only read parts of one issue, but in Vision, it was acquired and enjoyed by the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
even though it was something I wasn't keen on in the beginning.
I've had a lot of books like that where I
Yeah.
hated the art and then I grew to like love the art.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like even though I like the premise of switching up artists on All-Star Batman, like when you go from Jock to somebody else, like it's hard to appreciate Jock's art in one issue. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you need a series of issues to understand what the hell's even going on when Jock does the art.
Yeah,
Like,
he's someone you have to get used to.
Throw him in there. You know what I'm saying? That's not here nor there. That's Occupy Avengers. What do you think about Occupy Avengers there, Carl?
It was a really fast read, but you don't really pick up anything through your first read through. I didn't really care for the art too much. Like I said, the cover kind of threw me off right off the bat because I thought we were going to be dealing with really crazy art, and then it changed. I wouldn't buy this book. I picked it up when it first came out, like issues 1 and 2, but I wasn't too impressed with it. I only grabbed it this time around because it was the most interesting of my choices to go through. But yeah, I definitely say this is a borrow.
All right, well then I guess I will complete the trifecta and forget this one. It's I have a hard time with the Avengers series lately. I just have it's not a feeling I have, it's how I feel. That they just haven't been as epic since like Hickman left, you know what I'm saying? That's the scale I want the Avengers books on, and I don't want it on like a forced epic scale like Justice League either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's got to be an earned epic feel. And most of the Avengers books since that giant storyline leading into Secret Wars has ended haven't been able to really grab that feeling for me personally. You know, they might be grabbing other people's attention, and most of them are selling pretty well. So, you know, it's not really a matter of sales. It's just, you know,
I got to be honest,
not my cup of tea.
All New, All Different Avengers by Wade was pretty run of the mill. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, and definitely was not great. And the Avengers series that we got now with Mike Del Mundo, it's kind of off-putting art for an Avengers book, is the same. It's just run of the mill. You're totally right. It just has not been epic since Hickman left.
Yeah.
This is my Avengers book, even though there's no real Avengers on it. But I enjoy this 1,000 times more than I enjoy regular Avengers, because this like makes me laugh at least. You know,
right. You at least getting something out of it besides just what feels like a generic action story. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll wrap that up. Everyone had a check mark in one of the 3 columns we rate books with. And that'll lead us into the X portion of the segment, and that will be Weapon X, number 2 this week. So let me pull that bad boy up. And that is written by Greg Pak. Who's on art duties? Anyone got that ready for
Greg
him?
Land.
Greg Land.
Ibram Robertson.
Yeah, Greg Land and Ibram, I think it's Ibram Robertson, and then inker is Jay Leaston and Ibram Robertson, and colorist is Frank Diamarta, with lettering by VC's Joe Caramanga, something like that.
Just because this is an issue 2 and it's still a relatively new series, how did you guys, just, you know, quick 30-second rundown, what were your thoughts on issue 1 basically? Did you like it?
I liked it a lot. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I like Greg Land.
I like his art too, but I don't like how he draws Old Man Logan. I guess I'm very partial to how Old Man Logan is drawn, because I didn't really enjoy how he was drawn in X-Men Gold either. And I guess just the way Sorrentino does them, you know, in that abstract style, and who did them in the first series he was in with Millar.
Oh, Steve McNiven.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to top McNiven, I guess. You know, but when I picture Wolverine, that's who I picture drawing Wolverine. He did Death of Wolverine. He did Old Man Logan. You know, he did the last kind of couple pivotal Wolverine stories. So that's, I guess, Old Man Logan to me is just Wolverine old. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to look like Wolverine.
looks more like he looks more like an old Wolverine in this issue. Like on page 14, you could see his face has all these wrinkles and cuts. Like he looks real old in this one panel. He looks better in this issue than he did in the last issue. Last issue, it was more smoother, and he looked a little younger. It wasn't
his face looked so bulldogish. Like it looked like Greg Land took his head and his chin and like squished it between his hands a little bit, but and then drew it on the page. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever model he was checking out for reference. Or
I like how they're bringing in the characters. Like it mainly focuses around Sabretooth and Logan, but the last issue it was like Lady Deathstrike centric, and this one is Warpath, and then the next one's going to be Domino.
This is really kind of. I don't know a lot about Warpath, so I researched them and appreciated the fact that they kind of refreshed what he really was all about at the beginning of this issue. You know, they kind of gave you not really subtle, but hints as to what his power set was and what he really is. You know,
I give you a quick rundown of his power sets real quick.
I had no idea he was a Weapon X dude. I'll tell you that.
I didn't know that either. Is
that something new?
It's not actually. I thought it was, but it's not, because he has a healing factor just like the rest of them.
Yeah,
and he also has super strength, super agility. He can fly, except for in the Brewbreaker run of X-Men, because Brewbreaker thought it was stupid that he could fly. And he's got a healing factor. He also has 2 adamantium Bowie knives.
Okay, I was wondering why those fucking knives were taking down a helicopter later on in this issue.
Yeah, they're adamantium. He's pretty badass. Like when I researched him, it made me excited for him to be part of the group. I was like, oh my god, I had no idea his power set was like that. His all of his senses are dialed up to like 15. He could see like super far away. He can hear really well, smell. So like he's got like an amalgam of like everybody's powers in the Weapon X program with more, So he's probably the most powerful person, and he's 7'2".
Yeah, it seems like I've been trying to read a lot of this Weapon X stuff. I just bought the first Wolverine Weapon X titled graphic novel. You know which one I'm talking about. It's like
I know what you're talking about.
Marvel Presents issue 74 through 86 or something like that. It's a long trade, but so just trying to track the history of Weapon X is a fucking messy ordeal. I will tell you that, because it's like just all over the place. A lot of it varies in quality, to be honest.
Because there's even some different like history stuff in like 1991 X-Men from Jim Lee, like Weapon X, like you get these Wolverine flashbacks, and it's like this other dude, I forget his name. It was
a lot of retconning of stories. Like Dr. Cornelius is really kind of the main guy, but he's supposed to be dead from Death of Wolverine. Wolverine killed him right before he died.
I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, that's really good. It's only 4 issues. You should read the series that leads into it, though. It's all very good.
Is that the Paul Cornell 3 Months to Die series?
Yeah, it's like the covers are just the hand with the claws up, and then the claws start breaking off as it gets closer to the Death of Wolverine.
Yeah, I have those 2 trades digitally. I wanted to read them before I
series covers.
Wolverine. And then after that was Wolverines, correct? With like Sabretooth.
Yeah, that was a weekly series. I started it, but I didn't finish it because it was going on the same time as Batman Eternal. And I was like reading 2 weekly books that were both kind of like shitty. And I was just like, oh.
Weekly books ever turn out good?
No, they really don't. Well, what'd you think? Did you like the first issue, Carl? You like what you read?
I like the first issue. My favorite thing is this whole Wolverine and Sabretooth team up.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone, I've heard a lot of people hating on it because it's like they're worst enemies all through the history of X-Men. But I just think it's pretty cool that they're teaming up and going after, even though it seems like Logan's making Sabretooth do it by bringing these guys down on him and basically chasing after him.
Yeah, he essentially tricks them into teaming up with them. Almost.
It's a circumstantial partnership, but Wolverine pushes it.
Yeah.
Like, we should really team up. And I love them together because they don't like each other and they're always like talking shit to each other while they're fighting people. And it's a great like odd couple relationship, like Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau over here.
Now here's the one. I don't know if you want to even call this a nitpick, and then we'll get into the issue here in the details of what's going down. But my only complaint about this is I've read literally every Old Man Logan story, and I think this is the first fucking time he's ever seen Sabretooth. So there's no like, why the fuck are you so old? What the fuck is going on here? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's never that kind of moment I expected. It's really kind of just played off as like they've known each other forever, and they have a unhealthy alliance really at this point in time. But there's never even like what's going on here moment, which is kind of a little bit of bullshit if you ask me. No, I don't think
each other in Extraordinary. I thought I remember them see each other in Extraordinary, and Sabretooth like commented on how old he was. Like, Jesus Christ, you look like shit. Like,
yeah, maybe, but I mean, like they definitely at least with their interactions throughout the first two issues come off as old,
like they've known each other forever.
Yeah, like he even comments at one point like, well, we've been trying to kill each other for 100 years, and they're like, this dude you haven't. This is a different universe, a different timeline. Like, he's come back here, but he has no history in this universe, and everybody knows that.
There's another thing, like Sabretooth, when Uncanny X-Men ended after IVX and Extraordinary, and everybody went their separate ways, like Sabretooth had like short hair.
Yeah.
And now he looks like Sabretooth he looks exactly like Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie. Do you remember, with the long hair and the hair on the side, and he had that brown trench coat just like he does here?
Yeah,
so like,
he really does.
How did his hair grow so fast? That's what I'd like to know. I mean, he looks great. I like him like this way better than I did in his Uncanny costume. Like, the character design looks fantastic. But how did he get this way so fast?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with like the latest X-Men relaunch is like it supposedly continues right after this IVX stuff, and okay, so maybe Wolverine and Sabretooth bonded during that point in time, but they never showed it. It's just weird. I don't like just the whole continuity thing with where the X-Men are right now. It's kind of like a have your cake and eat it too. We're going to go back to classic things, but we're going to pick up right after the events that everyone read and ended. So we're going to take Wolverine and Sabretooth and just send them back to a classic history, when really, if you want to really get down to brass taxes, Sabretooth is Axis still and technically a good guy, so he wouldn't automatically just come out killing Wolverine. You know what I'm saying?
They don't like each other, but he is a good guy now.
Yeah, like he's turned. His first instinct, and everybody knows it because it's been this way for almost 2 years now, is not to automatically fight the good guys. You know what I'm saying?
I like him as a good guy too. I mean,
and even
he was pretty fun.
Even in a Deadpool series that he was guest starring in, Deadpool was going after him. He was contracted to get rid of Sabretooth. And while Deadpool was trying to fucking kill Sabretooth and rip him apart, like, Sabretooth's like, dude, I don't want to fight you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's Sabretooth it seems to just be back to his old tricks here, which is, it's, like how Jim and Eric are all pissed off about, are afraid of them doing that to Lex. Like, you take these old X-Men villains like Magneto and Sabretooth and Emma, and you've turned them good, and then all of a sudden they're just start being bad out of nowhere when no actions, with the exception of Emma, have really led to it,
I feel like this takes place like further in the future than X-Men Gold, because it just doesn't feel like it takes place right after IVX. I feel like this story is being told like in a little bit further in the future, like a few months ahead.
Right there. It almost feels like, obviously Gold and Blue they want as their flagship books for now until whatever status Astonishing has when it comes out. And people can deem which is which on their own. I'm not telling you which one should be your flagship X-Men book, but yeah, this one does kind of feel like maybe in the future, or maybe this one is right after you know, the IVX stuff, and the blue and gold are slightly, you know, maybe a month after this. Who knows? But anyway, we start the book off with Warpath and him trying to get some peace and quiet in the woods. Comes across some Mustangs kind of storming across some fields, and it's not long before he also sees a helicopter kind of stirring these horses up, which pisses him off. Because they're obviously chasing the wild horses, and B, because this is his you know, tranquility time where he wants some peace and quiet. He also looks like a female on page 2. If you look at page 2 a little bit, he looks like
A little bit.
all these male characters in this X-Men or in these Marvel books this week are looking pretty feminine. But you know, so as Trevitt revealed, he takes his adamantium knives, flies up to this helicopter and just starts going to town on the thing, dismantling it. Peeks inside and sees nobody. Finds it to be remote controlled. So he hits the ground, and these horses start, you know, approaching the scene, which is kind of a little weird. If anyone knows anything about horses, they'd get nowhere near probably a burning helicopter, right?
Yeah. I don't know. They get spooked very easily.
Yeah, they're supposedly wild horses, so he's like, whoa, this is a little crazy here. What's going on? And that's when they turn into fucking Weapon X killing machines, all of them. Which is pretty fucking crazy. They look pretty sweet.
I love how these things turn from horses to this. Then the last issue was a little girl transformed into one of these killing machines to go after Logan. And just,
was it a little girl?
I think so.
It was I thought it was like a couple hiking. It was a little girl that went after Sabretooth, but I don't think we ever saw her.
It was a couple hiking.
Yeah.
Okay.
They asked him for directions, and he was all happy and peaceful, and they asked him for directions. He gave him the directions. He's going on his way, and then all of a sudden they attack him.
Yeah. And these monsters, like, from what they've shown, can basically suck up and swallow flesh and then regurgitate it and use it to cover themselves.
That was crazy when the muscle tissue started wrapping around the metal. I was like, oh, that's gross, but it's cool at the same time.
Yeah, and they're basically, you know, what we've got the gist of is that they're they're designed Weapon X killing machines that the Weapon X, you know, patients like Wolverine, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, and Warpath, they can't smell or they can't sense. So these things are able to sneak up on them, and they really have everybody just absolutely on edge because they don't know what direction the next attack will come from, you know? Long story short, these horses end up pretty much getting the best of poor old Warpath. And we get a few, you know, scenes of some jib-jabbing going on between just some scientists at the Weapon X facility.
I was wrong. My bad. They're not adamantium blades. They're vibranium.
Vibranium. They're using the shit from Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's gonna piss him off.
Yeah.
So you know, is this? See, they don't really give us any names here to go off of in the Weapon X facility, and I can't tell if this is a Dr. Cornelius or not. It looks a lot like him.
The guy, Hugo Strange looking guy.
Yeah. Which is, you know, shouldn't be. He should be dead, but you know, this is Weapon X, so maybe he's weaseled his way back to life somehow.
Yeah, did they use his name?
I don't know if they say this guy's name at all or not.
I don't think they say his name through the whole book.
No, I don't think they do either. Maybe it's
going
to be a surprise. I don't know. If it was a surprise of any kind, I think we'd know just by looking at him, but I have no clue who he is.
Yeah. So if it's not Dr. Cornelius, I don't know who it is, but Dr. Cornelius is supposed to be dead, so that's why I'm really thrown off here. Anyway, you know, the office banter gets intercut with a few more scenes of Warpath fighting these Weapon X destroying horses, which again kind of get the upper hand on him and look to be taking him into the facility.
Got him right in the chest, right through the back, and right through the chest.
Yeah, he keeps getting stabbed right through shit. They mentioned how his healing factor is super badass because it's, works on the biological level as opposed to Lady Deathstrike's, who is based on nanites.
And I didn't read Decimation, but apparently everybody got like a power boost when Decimation happened. But most mutants' powers went back to normal after it. But he was one of the people whose powers stayed like enhanced. So his powers are even, so his powers are even more enhanced than they were originally pre-Decimation.
Yeah, he hasn't. I couldn't even tell you the last time I've seen Warpath in a book until this point in time.
Was it Yost's X-Force, maybe? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, so it's been a bit. Anyway, we check back in on Sabretooth and Wolverine, who were left last issue to fight some more Weapon X killing machines. These ones aren't horses, though. These ones are more people-shaped. And they find out from the first time that they encountered both of these two that because of the tissue samples that they've gathered, they've used that to enhance these robots with their reflexes, their sense. So these things are even faster and better at fighting than the first time Wolverine and Sabretooth ran into them. So these things are fucking killing machines, fighting the ultimate killing machines. So that's not good news when Wolverine and Sabretooth have really no hope.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And they have the same powers and abilities basically that Wolverine and Sabretooth do, with the exception, like they're at a loss because, like you said, they can't smell the robots, so, but the robots can smell them and sense them.
Yeah, so they're able to, I'm dying over here. They're able to track Wolverine and Sabretooth with, God damn it. Suffering.
Down the wrong pipe?
Yep. So they're able to track these guys with these. Well, these guys have no idea what the hell's going on or where they're coming from. Sabretooth decides I've had enough of this and takes off through the woods. Wolverine follows his ass. But not before he kind of like sprays his scent, if you will, in a different direction to confuse these things and then backtrack towards Sabretooth to get the drop on the robots, essentially.
Oh, he bounces on him. He's like, "See you around, runt." Just screws at him.
Yeah, and then Wolverine, the Old Man Logan, wants to keep him alive so they can get some information. Sabretooth bites into this thing's head, and it basically explodes right in his fucking face.
He's laughing while he does it too. That's the funny part.
Yeah,
and then Logan's like, don't eat it."
Yeah, what the fuck is he eating it for? I didn't quite get that.
I don't understand how his teeth are still intact.
I think his teeth must be adamantium. You know what I'm saying? Like that is.
After they like healed themselves back to normal.
Yeah, well, they could do that too, but I mean, it'd probably take a couple bites, and then he'd have to wait for his teeth to grow back and bite it again. That's not. It's gonna take a long time.
Not canon now, but I remember back in the day that because they were both part of the Weapon X program, Sabretooth wasn't a viable candidate for the adamantium treatment because his healing factor is stronger than Wolverine's. So his body heals more rapidly.
Quick, yeah.
Yeah, so they can't, they couldn't graft it to his bones.
Well, so they're able to dispatch one robot, but not all of them. Do these things pull clothes out of their chest? Where do these clothes come from?
I have no idea.
Oh, wait, this guy, he does. He has a compartment in his chest that the clothes came out of.
Okay. That's what I thought was going on, but then I'm like, well, maybe they just found them on the ground. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. And then they grow some skin,
which is gross but cool.
Yeah. It
Oh,
does
the
look.
gloop noise.
Yeah, I thought that is a nasty ass fucking noise. I thought they were going to turn into Wolverine and Sabretooth here and take off, but that's not what they do. They're just kind of two random looking white dudes, I guess.
Two bald dudes, yeah.
And they go sprinting through the woods because they get called off to another mission. Essentially, they're told to leave Wolverine and Sabretooth alone and called off.
Which I'm assuming is Domino.
Yeah, I think that's what we find out towards the end of the issue.
This next page after they run off, I think, is probably the best art of the whole book with Logan and Sabretooth. I mean, it just looks great.
Yeah, well, this is like, are there two artists on this book? Is that what happens here? And someone takes over at the end.
There's two inkers.
Okay.
There's one artist, which is Greg Land, and then there's two different inkers. So I'm guessing maybe because inkers can
two artists listed. I got Ibram Robertson as artist and inker, and Greg Land as artist as well.
Oh, he's listed as artist too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he just did some finishing touches for him, and that's why certain panels have more detail than others.
Yeah.
Because this definitely has way more detail than like you'd be used to from a Greg Land book.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which is actually needed, because if you have this extra artist on here, like this page is the perfect example. Like if this extra detail put on Land's work was like a normal thing, this book would look completely beautiful.
Yeah, it would look a lot better. Because art does get a lot better in the second half. Excuse me. All right. Anyway, as this book kind of comes to a close, we see Wolverine and Sabretooth decide to team up and go after these two robots because they can track them now for some reason. I didn't really get that. Did you?
No.
They were just complaining how they couldn't track them, and now all of a sudden Sabretooth bit into one of their heads and now they can track them. Okay.
Maybe because they have flesh and muscle now or something, and there's nobody else around, so they could smell.
I think they mentioned something about that, but Wolverine couldn't sense and Sabretooth couldn't sense them before, so I don't know why they can now.
This part, actually, off the topic for a second, but this part, he's like, if I wanted a wife, I'd join a dating site. And then Logan's like, how the hell do you even know about dating sites? And he's like, I don't. That's my point. And he's like, ha, you got a profile, don't you? And he's like, what? Shut up. And he's like, I told you I could smell those lies.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, they have some brotherly back and forth.
Which, you know, like,
I think
they should, because
I think I found out the reason.
100 years.
I think I found out the reason. It's because they got their blood on them.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So they're tracking their own blood. I was just rereading that page while you were talking there. So that's how they start tracking these robots back that are on their way back to the Weapon X facility or on their way to get Domino, one of the two. I'm not 100% clear on. And the issue ends basically with the scientists, talking heads, in possession of Warpath as he is put in one of those Weapon X tubes and starts getting poked and prodded as Weapon X projects tend to do.
Which I'm assuming they're like taking samples of the DNA to create like robot clones of them, so they have their powers and abilities. Yeah,
this is how they keep getting their powers, because they had the piece of Wolverine, they had a piece of Sabretooth. They don't have the whole thing though, but they have the whole thing of Lady Deathstrike. They have the whole thing of Warpath, and Domino's the next one up.
I don't know how they're going to catch her with her probability powers. Like she can twist anything towards her favor. So it's that's hard.
It seems like what these things do is that the first time they attack, it's not necessarily to capture you. It's to at least hit you, get a sample of you, get some blood, so they can get your powers from that alone, and then once they have your powers, they capture you.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for this team. I like these characters. They all have awesome power sets, and Yeah, I think it's going to turn out to be good. I think it's going to turn out possibly to be one of the best, if not the best thing to come out of this Resurrection series, thingamajig, you know, series or reboot, I guess, reboot of X-Men technically.
The Resurrection.
Mini reboot, mini resurrection. Yeah, I guess I would, out of the 3 X-Men books right now, this is the one I was the most skeptical about before everything started, and after reading it, it's interesting. To me anyway, and I would definitely buy it, I think, right now. I'd be weary of things when the crossover starts happening with the Hulk and all that, because then it's buying more books than just Weapon X. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it just stayed in Weapon X, I would be all in on it. But you start throwing new #1 issues on there, you know, and then turn Weapon X into a tie-in issue with the Hulk and shit like that. That's where you lose me. If it was just kept in this book, I would definitely be all in on all that. So
I want them to realize that it hurts more than it helps. Like maybe it helps sales initially, but it hurts the story and the book overall more than anything.
Well, even like I can deal with that when you've built this book up for 14 issues. Like I have a story built up in the background and you've threaded that, you know, through 14 issues and it leads up to it. And then you want to boom, do this mini crossover. That's cool.
Yeah. But after 4
when
issues,
you just start a book, and you're 4 issues in and then it's already into a mini event or a crossover and you're asking me to invest more into it when I'm just still getting my feet wet in the book and deciding if I like it, that's where I'm like, maybe this is just a book I start pulling for free. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's funny in the back in the advertisements. I just noticed this. It says X-Men Gold #4 available next week, which is funny because 3's not even out yet. Which
I know that sucks.
I'm looking over Domino just for like background. Is she has this subconscious telekinetic probability. Like a telekinetic probability that works in her favor by making improbable things occur. Anything in her line of sight, it looks like it just gives her good luck, but it's her like subconsciously doing it. Like, you know, she might throw a rock and it hits a button that stops a nuclear launch, or, you know, she throws a knife and it just hits, like, you know, like it hits like somebody who's invulnerable just in the one weak spot that they have.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. I like powers like that.
I don't know a whole lot about. I would actually say know more about Lady Deathstrike than I know about Domino and Warpath, to be honest with you.
Like if she fell off a building, like a truck of fucking hay or something would just happen to be driving by. Like,
yeah, I'd be like, well, I could name you by your look, but I couldn't tell you anything about what you do, you know?
No, yeah, exactly. Just got the black eyes like a domino, but that's it.
Because she's in Deadpool a lot too, you know what I'm saying? She's like a Deadpool character too.
Yeah, back in the day with X-Force and like the Rob Liefeld era.
Did you say you would borrow this, Carl? What were your thoughts on it?
I would definitely buy this book. It's caught my interest through 2 issues so far. The art's good, and at the end it gets great. I'm interested to know how they're going, what's going on with these tube things. Like, are they trying to create their own army metal versions of everybody, or
Weapon X's goal, I think, is always to have a, you know, basically a soldier under their control, because every time they try to do these Weapon X things, it's with real people that end up turning on them, and their mind fuckery doesn't hold or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if they're going to go with robots here, because, you know, at least programming you can change and alter if the AI is not too advanced. I'm sure that's exactly what's going to happen here, though.
And I think with the introduction of like the last team member in the next issue, we're definitely going to find out either the next issue or the issue after what's going on for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think your assumption is correct.
Well, see, I think what it's leading to is they're gonna fucking experiment with a Hulk with claws, and then that's gonna blow up in their face, obviously.
Oh my god, yeah.
So
not a good idea.
That's what I said. Like, that's an interesting premise to me. Like, you've teased this picture of this Hulk with fucking claws for 4 or 5 months now, but it's in a $5.99 issue that's in Incredible Hulk and all this other shit. Like, just leave it in this book, make Hulk the guest star. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be way cooler.
They don't do those guest star issues anymore. It's got to be a crossover with 2 fucking books.
Yeah, it's gotta be a big thing. Even crossovers feel like events nowadays.
Yeah, just because I feel like the crossovers are like, oh, we don't have an event book out this week. Let's make sure there's a crossover to fill everybody's pull list hole. It's like, no, I need that hole in my schedule. You know what I'm saying? I got shit.
Got to make that extra money.
Yeah.
All it is, money grab.
Yeah, some of it feels like it. They just trim the fat a little bit. Is the motto, I guess.
With IVX, I just read the main story. I skipped all the tie-ins, and then apparently you missed like half the stuff in the tie-ins.
Yeah,
you missed a lot of stuff in the like if you're gonna read the tie-ins. I happen to be following those books anyway, so it just worked out for me. But
I read some of them, so that was almost worse because like you got tidbits, but
they were
that
bad.
only alluded to things going on in more important tie-ins, basically, for the ones that I read, because I was reading Extraordinary, which was just basically filler.
It was really bad. Uncanny had the best X-Men tie-ins for it, but the best tie-ins overall were Uncanny Inhumans, which had its own little side story with Maximus, Triton.
Yeah, which was that whole dude that came in at the end that you were like, where the fuck did this dude come from? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but that's a buy for me, is buy for Carl, buy for you.
Yep, definitely a buy.
All right. Well, all right, let's get to this last one here so I can get to bed. I got an early wake up call for one more day of work tomorrow.
This actually might be my favorite book of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah. And that is Scarlet Spider. That is Scarlet Spider #1. Basically, a spin-off of the Clone Conspiracy event that just wrapped up a couple months ago. And it stars Ben Reilly, the OG clone of Peter Parker from back in the day, the 90s clone saga that everybody loves to hate on. That really wasn't very good. It was kind of a disaster, but spun some good characters out of the story, basically, And we have old school Spider Scribe on this of Peter David.
Legendary Peter David.
Old school Spider Penciler of Mark Bagley. Inker John Dell. Colorist Jason Keith. And Joe Caramagna is the letterer.
Same letterer from Weapon X.
Yeah. Dude makes bank, I'm telling you.
Yeah, VC's getting some good money.
So let me you guys kick things off here. I'm gonna fill up my pop real quick because my mouth is dry as fuck.
All right. So I'm gonna start with the story, but I wait for Brandon for the story, I guess. I just start off by saying that this has like some of the best Mark Bagley art that I have seen in years, because I hated his art in All New X-Men. Like Cyclops looked really weird. His head and his eyewear just didn't look right. He looked completely off in every issue. It was just hard. Some of the stuff was just hard to look at, and the colors were off. I hated the color tone. But this book, it's like back when he was doing Ultimate Spider-Man with Bendis. Like it's just some of the best work he's done. Like he really brought it out for this one.
It's amazing. I actually really like the new Scarlet Spider uniform costume that they don't have on the cover.
Yeah, I didn't know how to feel about it at first, but
they changed from fan uproar.
I like what they did. Like, when they started off, it's kind of, he's got kind of like this Deadpool thing going on. Like he's like the Deadpool of the Spider-Man universe. Like, talking to himself instead of talking to the audience, he's talking to himself. But it's the old version of himself in the old costume.
Mm-hmm. And
I think I laughed this whole issue.
I definitely laughed more than I thought I would, and it's like also the more heroic version of him. So like he's definitely in this new costume, still kind of a dick. I told I told Carl before we started here, before he joined us, that the whole plot line of him getting all that money from the doctor though seems to be totally dropped. Like, why is he dead broke?
Yeah, how much money did he get for, like, I don't know, like how much he was traveling around before?
Yeah, like didn't she clear her retirement account out basically?
I forgot how much she gave him. She gave him like maybe like $5,000 or something. Maybe he used it to like make webbing and his costume.
He does have web shooters and everything.
Yeah, he's got some high-tech stuff on him, so I think he used that money to make the costume and make webbing and stuff.
Well, he stole the costume.
Yeah, he stole the costume.
From a cosplayer. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He stole it from a cosplayer. That's the greatest thing ever, too.
He walks out of the bathroom naked, and he said it's his own fault.
Yeah, because he didn't wear underwear.
Oh my god. Oh, that's right. I left him lying naked in the restroom at the hotel. But hell, I didn't tell him to go commando while wearing tight-fitting costume.
Yeah. And then I like when I don't know, you guys might have said it when I was getting a glass of pop, but I like when he's trying to get away from the quote unquote good Ben Reilly in the OG Scarlet Spider outfit, and he jumps off the Statue of Liberty in New York, and Vegas, and Scarlet Spider, the old one, follows him, and he's got a jetpack on. And the jetpack has a little Spider-Man clasp right in the middle of it.
Kind of like the Deadpool one.
Yeah.
I love it. He's like, a rocket pack? Really?
Yeah, and even mentions, he's like, I'm imaginary. I can do whatever the hell I want. So that's where you really get the sense that, Ben Reilly is fucked up. His mind, he's not, I guess he can't help himself. He's got a little bit of bipolar, multiple personality disorder thing going on here.
Which, who wouldn't that happen to once you are like revived and murdered over and over again? Like that would drive anybody.
Brought back and killed like 23 times by Jackal. So yeah, that would mess with you. I think that's kind of overlooked in the course of how that story ended. Everyone was like, kind of like, well, how is this dude all fucked up? And even I guess I overlooked it too, because I was just getting tired of the event lasting so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, he technically was just repeatedly murdered.
And you retain your
fucking way possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the worst part is like the way that they Jackal would clone people is you remember everything from when you died to the next time you're revived. So he remembers every death and every painful moment. So it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So I feel like that whole event was this whole event was just to lead in this book, like this book was birthed out of that, but at the same time it felt like this is like that event was just to get to this book. Yeah,
I feel like that's the point of a lot of events, like even the DC events lately, like the Suicide Squad versus Justice League was to lead into JLA. And fucking Batman Flash Button is going to be to leading into Dark Days. You know what I'm saying? Like everything just leads into the next series.
You're right, because Dark Days is going to lead into Dark Matter, that new imprint.
So I think that's where like some of the event fatigue comes in too, because when you don't get an ending to your story and you're just told, oh, nope, it goes here. No, oh, it goes here. You start to be like, well, when the fuck does it end? When do I get my ultimate payoff? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
This story concludes, and then I can look forward to the next story. That doesn't happen as much as it used to, I feel like, and that's some of the problem. But anyway, back to Scarlet Spider. He basically jumped off the Statue of Liberty because he heard somebody calling for help, and he gets down to business, gets down to the floor level to see what the screams are all about, and just sees a general mugging going on, and immediately is disappointed. It's just some dude with a gun.
What's to do with a knife?
Oh yeah, he's got a knife at first, and then he's like, "That's all you got, a knife," and
A
then
knife?
the gun gets pulled out.
Hey,
You
did
see,
you guys notice the guy with the gun's tattoo says no regrets?
yeah,
No, I didn't notice that.
yeah. It's like what was the movie that the daughter is dating the dude with the chest tattoo? No regrets.
I don't know.
I just think of the Snickers commercial
Is it a
or
recent
Milky
movie?
Way. Lady's giving a tattoo, eating a Milky Way, and he says no regrets. She's like, I'm eating a Milky Way.
Yeah, I did notice that the first time I was reading through it. I'm like, oh, those clever little bastards. But anyway, he he takes the gun from the robber, and the robber starts, talking shit to him because he's quote unquote a good guy. He's like, well, you're not gonna do anything with that gun. And so Ben decides to shoot him straight in the knee.
That was great. I love
Yeah,
that.
he goes to, he's like, that dude won't bother you no more. Don't worry about him.
And did you
Hey,
notice?
lady?
You notice the
How can
crazy
I
thing?
pay you $100.
Yeah.
Ask for money. I just saved your life. Let me ask for money.
And then he tells her, then she gives him 50, and he tells her, like, now remember, you agreed on 100. I'm like, basically, I'm gonna come looking for that other 50, and don't you welch on this, because if you do, you're not gonna like what happens. Like,
Yeah.
and you notice, like he asks her, your name's not Mary Jane or Gwen, is it?
Yeah, he's got a big thing with names in this issue because he gets to later on in the casino with the old lady. He keeps calling her Aunt Jane.
Yeah.
Aunt June.
Aunt June. That's my
Yeah,
fault.
Close enough to May.
He's like, your name wouldn't happen to be May, would it?
Yeah. And she just, all she says is shut up to literally everybody. But also my one complaint about the art this issue, because I enjoy the art the more I flip through the book, and I've gone through it a couple times because I do like it. Is that I feel like in this new costume, and this is part of the reason I don't like it, and I've figured out why. He looks like fucking Earthworm Jim, just colored red and blue.
Earthworm Jim.
Doesn't he do
it? It's the mouth.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's the
It's
fucking mouth they draw in there.
I mean, I get it. I mean, this is the first superhero costume I've ever seen where, like, it is a tight mask. Maybe you should see an imprint of his mouth, but at the same time, it totally throws me off, and it looks fucked up. He does look like Earthworm Jim.
He still looks like Earthworm Jim.
That is the one gripe I have too.
So, anyway, these guys, the scene ends with him saying he will keep in touch with this lady. He just got $50 for helping out to get his other 50 later. And we shoot back to San Francisco. And I'm like, well, that was a quick trip because then we see Jackal. And Jackal was Ben Reilly. It's kind of a minorly convoluted story. Jackal is really Miles Warren, who Ben Reilly pretended to be during Clone Conspiracy while everybody was being resurrected back from the dead. And that's who we see in this parking garage approaching the doctor who helped Ben out with all that, the medical mumbo jumbo of the process. So she's all excited to see who she thinks is Ben and mentions how his scars are different and where have you been? And that's when we see, the Scooby-Doo moment happen and find out that it's not really Ben at all, but it's Kane pretending to be Jackal, pretending to be Ben, or Ben pretending to be Jackal. Kane pretending to be Ben, pretending to be Jackal. There we go. I got it. So yeah, some comic book goodness there for you. And yeah, as I mentioned in the Scooby-Doo moment, he rips off the helmet and he's like, it's me, Kane, and where the hell is he? Because he basically gave himself away when he's like, where did I say I was going?
Yeah. His I don't know, is his face ever gonna heal, or is it gonna be like that sword crack addict looking face?
I think Kane and Ben are just kind of fucked for now because they were clones and were degenerating from the cloning process and just don't have any means of healing right now. Like I'm sure there might be some workaround for it eventually, you know. But Kane, yeah, he didn't start degenerating until that signal went off. And because he was a clone, that's what happened to him. So yeah, I think that's gonna be kind of a thing for now.
I would think Kane would be worse off than Ben would be because Kane was degenerating from like almost the beginning of Clone Conspiracy. Remember, he looked all run down and kind of green, grayish, and
needed all that medicine and shit.
Yeah,
they both look rough. I think Ben looks a lot more like Deadpool.
I think so too. I think that's they're kind of going for that. I think they're really just going for like a Deadpool feel for Ben because of his face, his attitude, almost everything about him. I love it.
I would actually really be open for the jokes of a Deadpool, not crossover, but like starring in an issue with Ben Reilly because he'd be, Deadpool would totally bring up in 2 seconds how he looks exactly like.
Yeah, he would.
Exactly fucking like me, dude.
That would be great. I've seen it. I saw an issue of, I don't know if it was Deadpool or Deadpool and the Mercs for Money. I forget exactly what it was, but I saw an issue recently. Maybe, I think it was Uncanny Avengers. There's Deadpool's in there. And he took off his mask and his face was normal. But I think it was because Rogue kissed him. And she like took on his disease and features, so her face was all fucked up and his face was normal.
Yeah. I think that was Spider-Man Deadpool.
I've never read any of that before.
Oh, okay. Well, that happened in Spider-Man Deadpool too. Deadpool's face is like all fucking fine because he's been acting good or whatever. And basically you find out that the only reason Deadpool's outside hasn't healed, despite the fact he has a healing factor, is because he was being a dirtbag and doing shitty things. And when he does good things, his skin like heals normally. That's kind of what they've been getting at in Spider-Man Deadpool, one of the weird things in that book. It's a fun book, but there's a lot of fucking fill-in issues. Like I won't even review the fill-in issues anymore on the website because they're just they've just been
the non-Joe Kelly issues.
Yeah. So but here's the good thing though. They collect the series with Joe Kelly issues and then all the filler issues are collected in their own trades. So at least
that's awesome. Yeah, that's good.
That's how they've been doing that. Anyway, we
back to Las Vegas.
We go back to Las Vegas. Yeah, that's just a quick scene in San Francisco. And we see Ben still going crazy, this time in a hotel room. And this time, instead of Scarlet Spider kind of stirring around on the outside, it's the Jackal. But this time, the Ben Jackal, not the Kane Ben Jackal.
It's got a Moonlight thing going on.
Yeah, he totally does. This is just kind of another persona showing itself. And it looks like at this point, over the course of the 2 pages here, he essentially gets rid of this persona almost. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's just a temporary thing. We don't really know yet.
Because he is not sure where his feelings land about everything that just happened in Clone Conspiracy. He doesn't know if he was doing the right thing or if he was a little fucked up about it, but he can't really tell because because he's mentally unstable and he knows it because of what's happened to him.
Right. Yeah, and this is kind of the point in the book where Peter David gets you to feel sorry for him. You know what I'm saying? Like before you just think he's a crazy psychopath, just looking out for himself and out for money. And here you get the sense that he still wants to live up to the standard that Peter has set, but doesn't really know how to go about that with everything he's been through. You know what I'm saying? He's not sure what's right and wrong anymore, so he has a hard time living up to that standard. So he crumples up the Jackal mask. Like, this is a metal mask. He just crumples in two hands and throws to the ground, takes a swing at the imaginary figure and walks out of the room.
I think maybe that's why he's grasping on to Peter's like lifestyle so much, where he's like Aunt June instead of Aunt May, and like he's trying to like make Peter. How does Peter deal with his life? Why is he so stable? Because of the family and the people around him. So he's always looking. He's like, your name's not Gwen or Mary Jane. You're Aunt June. Like,
yeah. So he's gonna force a family into his life to make it stable, whether they want it or not. He goes about it in a fucked up way, which makes it entertaining in a sad way. I don't know how to describe it. The two book. Here's what I'll say: the two books that we, because I think we'll all say we want to buy this one. Spoiler alert. But the two books that we have liked, the critics on, I've just pulled up Comic Book Roundup. They're fucking like, this gets a 5.6 Weapon X, and Superior Spider-Man gets a 6.7 right now, based on what everybody's saying. 6.4, it just went down.
This gets
there's two 8, there's an 8.5, there's an 8, there's a 7, another 7, a 6, and 2 4s. So some people have hated it, and most people are in the middle. 8s aren't bad, 7s aren't bad. So really just the 4s kind of bring the average down to that low 6 area. But I enjoyed it more than a 6.4. Like, when I look at that 6.4, I'm like, I don't know. That's really kind of like an 8, an 8.5 to me, because of how many laughs I've had, and just really the emotional roller coaster the character goes on throughout the issue.
Most definitely. I was going to say the same thing. 8.5, easy. Like,
I'm definitely going to be an 8.
I want to take a point off my copy of the goddamn book because of the staple fucking placement. You should see this. It's like 1/4 of the way into the top half of my book. It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Well, I'm gonna buy the hip hop variant, I think, off of I don't know, eBay or something, if they have one. I don't know. I gotta find a variant.
You're right. I'm looking at these reviews right now, and it's crazy. Scarlet Spider and Weapon X. IGN says this is shaping up to be the one of the weaker editions of Resurrect. IGN's jackasses. They don't know anything.
Yeah. They're usually. I think they like the books I don't like, and they hate the books I do. You know what I'm saying? That's what I found with IGN.
Places like IGN and Newsarama, like, you can't really pay attention to their reviews. Like, they give like a terrible. They give Justice League 8s and 9s. Like, that just says it all right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at your Justice League review. If it's any higher than a 6, I really am gonna question anything you tell me about anything else.
Right.
Well, this book kind of wraps up in an interesting way with Ben approaching a casino floor. We really don't have any idea what he's going down there. Maybe to strike it rich with the $50 he just made. But he runs into this old lady, and as Carl has said, he starts calling her Aunt June.
Yeah, so hilarious.
Close enough to me.
Yeah, just like Aunt May. And this all ends up intertwining with the hotel casino security, which is sent down to the casino floor by, the owner, who's this Charlotte chick, right?
Miss Mercury.
Yeah, Miss Mercury. So robbers come in to rob this casino, which obviously never goes well. They get mixed up with Ben, who kind of gets caught in the crossfire. And despite the fact that, he's like, I can't use my spider powers or everyone's going to think I'm Spider-Man, and then Peter's going to find me, So he's kind of like running through the different options in his mind of what to do when the security sent down by what's her goddamn name? Miss what?
Mercury.
Miss Mercury. There we go. Thank you. Miss Mercury ends up pushing him out of the way at the last moment, and we find out this dude's kind of got some powers too. It takes some bullets and then picks up a craps table and fucking wallops the security. And then he kind of notices that Ben has pretty much broken a gun in half. It's like, how'd you do that?
Mirrors.
My boss is going to want to talk to you. And that's where kind of everything comes full circle, and a bunch of coincidences collide into each other. And we realize that, again, fill me in, Miss Mercury, right?
Yeah, Miss Mercury.
Yeah, okay, Miss Mercury is familiar with who Ben Reilly is because he had brought her daughter back to life for her during the whole clone conspiracy fiasco.
And she is not happy with him.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. I don't remember. That wasn't anything mentioned in the series, right? This is just something they're going back and saying, right?
Yeah, because he did it for a ton of people that we never even saw. So he was doing it for a while, like all rich and powerful people, so he could, get more money for what he was doing. So there are tons of people that he made clones for that we don't even know about yet.
And they probably didn't last long enough to get the signal through the webware to survive. So I'm sure there's some pissed off people with some dead cloned family members that they had to go through that loss all over again,
Yeah.
And she's somebody that obviously has, we saw her calling the Pentagon earlier, so she's got some high ties.
I love when he says to the guy, "You can call me Peter."
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I thought? I just had this thought now that about with these clones and Ben Reilly himself, like a clone is not he is not Ben Reilly. He's not who he thinks he is. Like every time he died, that version of him died. Like he is a fresh person with the last person's memories. Like even though it makes it seem like he is the same person, he's really not. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's just like another version.
Yeah. Well, also because, he has all the history. He has Peter's history. He has the history of being on his own, on top of the history of being captured again by Miles and tortured to death countless times. So, he doesn't forget any of that because, the way the cloning process was done most recently was they used your most recent memories at the time of death. It wasn't a fresh, because how they were doing it before was they were kind of picking and choosing what you remembered. And, it was more of a means to control somebody as opposed to giving them this free will to think and do what they want, which also makes it worse when you lose that person again, because it's just, I'll say this, like it's definitely a buy for me. The art is great. I was nervous of Peter David doing the book, I'll say, only because the last Spider-Man book he was on, 2099, just kind of didn't really do anything for a long time. But this feels like it does have at least an initial idea and premise that it wants to roll with, and it's got my attention, so it's
mine too. Yeah.
It's got my attention too.
I feel oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I just hope that, after this first little bit, maybe between 4 and 6 issues of this, they don't change too much of him. They keep him sort of like this dick mentality where he's still making all those witty jokes. Don't want him to change too much of this character because I flew through this book, and like I was telling you guys earlier, I read it 2 or 3 times just because I was laughing so hard that I skipped pages.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun than I've had with just any random Marvel book I've picked up in a long time. So
and I read the final verdict on a review saying that this is the worst debut in Marvel history for this book. I just was like, I don't get it because I didn't read Clone Conspiracy. So I don't have a giant history with Ben Reilly or any of this background. I still loved it. This is one of these books that anybody can pick up. Yeah, there's going to be parts that you don't understand. Like I didn't get the whole Jackal part at first until Brennan explained it to me. But still, it was from beginning to end, it's like what, 2 pages that I was a little bit lost on.
Yeah. They don't. I
So
mean,
it's-
they don't. It's not something they punish you for not knowing. You're going to be a
No.
little lost on 2 pages in the middle, and when this lady mentions her daughter being cloned at the end, you're probably like, what's that? But I'm sure they'll tell you more about it next issue. So
Well, with the synopsis at the beginning of the book, it kind of tells you the backstory of where we came from to where we are right now,
yeah,
which
well,
is pretty nice.
yeah, there you go. I didn't even think about that because I've been reading Spider-Man for forever, so I don't even pay any
Attention to those, yeah.
Yeah, out of I'll tell you, the one book I don't need to read the last issue for are Batman and Spider-Man. I always remember what's going on in those two. Everything else gets jumbled together in the back of my brain. But
it tells you the original origin of Ben Reilly and the top in the red, and then underneath Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider, it goes through all through the clone conspiracy stuff, like a nice big juicy paragraph to get like all the information you really need.
out.
Yeah. And you could tell that Peter David really like did his homework for the character. Like, he went through all the clone conspiracy stuff. He's got like a little, like all nice little nods to everything in here. Like he did a really great job. Like I can't understand these reviews because he did a best job that I've seen him do in a while. And not just him, like Mark Bagley too. Like, maybe it's because I hated the art on All New X-Men so much, and I like this art so much, and it's done by the same person, that it's such like a big win for me. Because I'm like, I was so off-put by not just the way Cyclops looked and the colors, but so many things about the way All New X-Men looked. But this looks like, different, like way better. The colors are fantastic. His art is just way more cleaner. The faces don't look as odd as they did in All New X-Men.
Yeah.
It looks more like the Mark Bagley we had in the Ultimate Spider days when he was doing it with Bendis,
Yep. Yeah. Well, any final thoughts here, fellas, for the pilot here? Well, like I said, we'll probably get some better, more concrete concept ideas down for the show later on. This was just getting together and chatting some books for the first one. What Mark, I'm sorry, I'm calling everybody wrong names because it's late and I'm dreading work and the people I got to deal with tomorrow in 7 hours. But Carl, where can everybody find us if they're looking for us? If you're interested in getting in contact with us as a podcast, the Marvel Madness.
We are at Madness Marvel 1 on Twitter, or you can email us at marvelmadnesspod@gmail.com. You can find me at Carl Hamlin on Twitter.
And then I'm at Beamer3660.
And I'm at Afronaddict.
And then you can also find me and Trevitt on the Weird Science Podcast every Sunday. We do the Marvel Minute there. And this week we will be doing Scarlet Spider 1. So if you want to hear, a breakdown of that book, and obviously if you hear this first, you'll know what our final decision will be, but we'll spit the bit on that tomorrow a little bit more. So that's it for us, guys. Again, thanks for listening. Party is over on this end. We'll catch you guys next week. Adios.
Peace.